This review of the Dark Pictures Man of Medan is spoiler free. The Dark Pictures Man of Medan is, in all honesty, a good time. If you're a fan of Until Dawn, I see no reason why you wouldn't also enjoy this game. However, whilst I finished this game in a single sitting over the weekend, the reason this game took me a little longer to get around to reviewing is because by the end of the experience, I wasn't really sure how I felt about the game. I really enjoyed a lot of the game, but the parts I really didn't like. It was a game that after it was all said and done, I just needed time to think, time to process my thoughts on it, and as I just said, Man of Medan is a good time. But it does have some big drawbacks as well that in my opinion could be a deal breaker for some. For this review I played through the game twice, but unfortunately was only able to play the game solo. But I'm sure the tried and true mantra still applies that the game is a good time with your buddies. So sit back, relax, and let your favourite Aussie tell you all about the Dark Pictures Man of Medan. Right off the bat, the source material and inspiration for the Man of Medan is something that many, myself included, may not be familiar with. The curse of the Orang, definitely butchered that, Medan is one that upon researching after the fact is one that is incredibly interesting and is actually one of the reasons I'm glad I sat back and thought about Man of Medan, as they do a really great job of telling a story revolving around this fable. The story of Man of Medan begins in the 1940s as we see a military vessel being loaded with cargo and caskets, and whilst this section acts as a tutorial of the game's core mechanics, I love the intrigue built right from the get-go. The dead bodies on board showing a seemingly terrifying death awaiting our characters here, and just wanting to find out what is on board and why is it here. After this we jump to the present as we meet our cast of characters, who are, in my opinion, all pretty likeable, which was an aspect of Until Dawn that I couldn't say the same thing about. Our characters we experience the rest of the story with are Brad, Alex, Julia, Conrad, and Fliss. And yes, I realize many won't like Conrad, but come on, it's Sean Ashmore, and he was, I thought, pretty funny. Our characters are all about to go diving as Brad believes he has found some undiscovered World War II wreckages. From here, events occur that end up leading our characters to the Medan, and the real intrigue can continue. The decisions here in Man of Medan is, like Until Dawn, an aspect that is surprisingly deep and really makes you carefully consider each option. As I said, I liked all the characters, so I wanted each character to survive my first journey through the game, and because of this, it made some seemingly irrelevant dialogue options and certain decisions really become a thought out process. But the time limit meaning you need to be quick and you can't dawdle. It creates an urgency, and when you feel like you made the wrong decision for the character's survival, you immediately make a mental note for your next journey through the game. The Medan as well is just creepy. Its tight hallways and the number of dead you find throughout the ship really does create a tension for most of your time here, and seeing our characters become increasingly paranoid in turn makes you become more and more on edge. And if you want to learn more about the events on what happened on the Medan back in the 40s, you'll need to go off the beaten path and find the collectibles, which when you already feel like something bad is going to go down, doesn't really make you feel great going into a dark room. And whilst I wish more of this information was more playable, say if we went back and forth between the 40s and the present, or saw flashbacks, I still would recommend going out of your way to find these as they further engage my imagination and fear of what was to come. We again have access to premonitions of future events in the form of paintings, and yet again, these are vague enough that you don't really know what is going to happen exactly or how to get to that point, but do help in ensuring some character survival. And the game itself isn't just QuickTime events and plays out more like a telltale experience. And a mechanic I loved that I don't think was in Until Dawn, it has been a while since I've played it though, is the keep calm mechanic, where it plays out like a rhythm game and you have to time the button presses with the character's heartbeat in order to stay hidden, and it really added to the suspense of the game when these moments appeared. Unfortunately though, once you get to the last third of the game, that terror and anxiety does fall away as the story progresses, which unfortunately means instead of your mind and imagination keeping you on edge, the only thing left that attempts to do so is the game's abundance of jump scares. Now this was something I expected in this game. Until Dawn also has them, and I'm not someone who outright hates this tactic of horror in the genre. I mean, there are some great scares that are jump scares in many of my favorite films, TV series and games, like the infamous Alien jump scare, the Jaws reveal, or recently in games, Resident Evil being a game I feel does this tactic well. It does depend on how they are set up though. Here in the Man of Medan, it really consists of the trait many hate about jump scares, just having a loud noise. Sure, this will make you jump, it's just in our DNA, as the loud sound triggers that primal instinct of fight or flight. But while a good jump scare will stick with you for its brilliance, here, immediately after the noise, I just forgot about them. I wasn't on edge anticipating the next scare, knowing that all the scares consist of a loud noise with a lot of dead faces. Now, obviously horror is subjective. What didn't scare me and came as an annoyance may not for you, but I can only comment on my own experience. As I mentioned before, as well as the story progresses into its final act, the fear goes away along with the intrigue. As I said, I was not familiar with the source material until after the game was said and done, but the way the lore unfolds just wasn't what I was expecting, and seemed so much grander in my mind, so this did leave me a bit let down. The game obviously has multiple endings, and initially my first ending wasn't great. It did feel a bit abrupt, and whilst on my second time through, the ending also did feel like it was cutting the experience short, on the whole was more satisfying to me, so this aspect will differ depending on your number of playthroughs, which I recommend at least playing through the game twice, because it is such a short experience and the story can unfold in so many different ways depending on who still remains, and that is where the real value comes into play here. And even after 2 playthroughs, I want to start the game again and see more. The Dark Pictures Man of Medan isn't perfect. If you are hoping for a great horror experience, unfortunately the jump scares really do contribute to most of this game's scares, and it just won't satisfy that horror experience urge for most. But the intrigue from the very beginning will hook you in, and the replayability makes the 3 to 4 hour game at least double if not more depending on how interested you are in finding out more. The characters are all great to interact and control, and whilst overall the journey is not as compelling as Until Dawn, the concept of this anthology has me totally ready for the next entry. And for the first game in this series of games, it really shows some great signs for the future going forward. If you know what you want out of Man of Medan, that being an intriguing setup with multiple ways to decide the fate of our cast of characters, and a good atmosphere surrounding the Medan, I think you'll have a great time with this game, and for the price, I'd say it's definitely worth giving a shot. However, if you were hoping for the next scarefest in gaming, this just isn't it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now, some of you may be wondering why this video wasn't on the Blair Witch game. So here it is. I did not enjoy that game at all. So much so that I couldn't even bring myself to beat the game, and whilst I have no issue talking about games I don't like, I have tried to take a more positive approach with games I cover here on the channel, and having a game I couldn't even come up with one positive for just didn't feel like a video I wanted to make. If you are interested in a video on that game though, my mate Nathan over at the Checkpoint Show did a review recently on the game in a much more positive light, and I'll leave that video link down below. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave the video a like, comment below your thoughts on Man of Medan if you've played it, and subscribe if you're new. I do videos on the regular. If you want the best way to stay up to date with the channel, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MayorHairBear for gaming pickups, gaming opinions, and what I'm playing and what videos are in the works. But for now, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.